It says when I look at it, it says looking for a game to capture. Never mind. Maybe it's just your intro. Oh,
Okay, we got a spinning penguin, now some bubbles.
I see. Oh, wait. What are you saying? I'm I'm still seeing a standstill screen of bubbles.
Same.
Okay. I do in fact see half the
Oh,
screen is us, half the screen is bubbles.
Output. Hello? Oh, okay. Talk soccer?
I am now talking.
Okay, this might be working. Yeah, see this you can tell it's Twitch because there's a little like Twitch icon for the viewer count. Actually,
Maybe
hold
it's
up.
the stream on my end, but it's very, very behind.
yeah, it's definitely behind, but I mean, there's delay on most streams.
Boom, you can see a little viewer count. Okay, hold up. I think we're cooking. I think we are cooking.
Maybe on your end you're cooking. On my end, it is burning.
App. Okay.
I see the 4 viewer YouTube viewer count,
Yeah, I
and now
see
it's
that
got
now.
really big, and now it's moving again.
Now it's in the corner.
Damn.
And
Okay.
now we're
So
full screen.
it's still dropping frames, which sucks, but it's technically working, I think. Yeah, it's saying
The audio is fine, so
okay. It's just saying, oh, dropped frames detected, 92% over last 2 minutes. Okay. That sucks. However, the stream is working technically. So with that shaky start, um, it's working at least. So hi guys, welcome to Swap Screwed. Drop your buffs. Welcome to Swap Screwed. I'm JoMaH. This is gonna be a very crappy stream with I guess the audio, or not the audio, but the video, because I'm moving my hand back and forth right now, but it's gonna look like this, like with like choppy stuff. Um Spotters is asking if I can play my keyboard in the background. Um just because I have it doesn't mean I know how to play it. But okay. Welcome to Swap Screwed. I'm JoMaH. Joining me today's episode is Soccer. Say
hmm
hello. Nice, nice,
Hi,
nice.
I'm Soccer.
And we have Socks also joining us.
that is me.
Okay, so if you guys want, you can turn off your cameras because I don't think the cameras are probably gonna like it's if you turn off the camera, it makes my stream look really good too. So I like this idea. Um,
Works for me.
And I just got dressed up pretty for nothing.
I know, such a waste. But yeah, the audio is working now, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, in today's episode, we're gonna be talking a little bit about unrecordeds because I couldn't help but notice, but a bunch of people want to host Minecraft survivors or Minecraft game shows. And I think that's great. You know, it's good for people to get out there and to host. However, with people hosting for the very first time, being unexperienced, uh, you know, not having a good or not being known and not being really, you know, recognized, if they host and they do really bad, especially, they're not really going to get respected, you know, for future hosting seasons and, you know, playing. And overall, it's not going to be you're gonna have to host a few more seasons to get out of that slump. So I figured I'd bring on a couple of people who have not only hosted unrecordeds, played in unrecordeds, and I've been on production for unrecordeds. I figure, I bring you guys on to sort of educate people on the do's and don'ts of Survivor unrecorded, especially. You know, comps, twists, advantages, casting, things like that. So, I mean, unless you guys have something that you immediately want to say, I can start like jumping into, I guess, hypothetical questions.
I say you go for it. I mean,
Yeah, let's
I'm
jump right in.
Okay, sweet. So I think actually, I would say the first thing would be casting, but no. Let's go, let's go back. When it comes to, I guess, the Minecraft part of the game show, um, I think the biggest thing, Pete, is essentials and the server they use. Essentials is very important with mainly just with world edit and different commands because it will save your life on just the building side of production. It'll make it so much easier. But I think the biggest thing that people forget is just the quality of their world when people log on. This is something that you can build and set up beforehand before hosting. So I don't know how you guys do it, but some people like scattering their comps. Some people do a comp lot. I think you just have to make sure everything's baby proofed first. Now I could be wrong, but I think typically when hosting unrecordeds, you have to make sure that there's no way for people to, break out or escape, or there's no way for people to like, destroy the comp or, you know, screw things over.
Yeah,
Um
I'd agree. I think. Oh,
no, go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'd agree. I think your options are either to completely baby-proof everything. I mean, bring someone in, tell them, try and fuck things up, like try and mess it up, or accept the fact that people are going to do this and be willing to roll with the punches of it. I think we can get more into it later, but I think probably one of the most important skills is probably rolling with the punches of people are going to try and make you fail.
Mhm.
So you can try and prep in advance as much as you want, and you can get a lot of good stuff done, but you have to acknowledge that it is not going to go perfectly. There are going to be bad things that are going to happen, and you aren't going to be prepared for them.
No, that's a
So
great
just,
point.
yeah,
And it arguably comes with like, that's more like I guess the category of like hosting day of, but being assertive and I'm not saying that to be a dictator and say you can't do this, you can't do that. Have fun with your season, but at the same time, make sure you have authority over your cast because if you don't, if you let the cast sort of run over you and push you around, um, it's going to give them more incentive to either not take the season seriously, not respect you as a host, or just completely uh, goof off. Double says he has something to say. I wonder if I hit escape, will I see Double?
you will not.
Okay, I will not, and I will see everyone saying that this is such a good episode. Okay, that's besides the point. Double, if you want to say something in the chat, feel free to. But so yeah, I guess the biggest thing I guess first we should talk about is the Minecraft server. Spotter brings up a good point in the chat saying essentials will kill some vanilla commands. I think it's important to have a server that works with essentials and world edit before, building your comps, in my opinion. I think it's important to have that backbone of, plugins first to allow, for everything to go smoothly rather than build the season and then when you load up plugins, it basically you lose all your coordinates or you lose all your warps. Okay, get Double in here real quick. Does Double need a drag? Okay, Double, welcome to the podcast. Special guest. Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, I got something real quick. This is like
Okay.
hosting an unrecorded, right? Right.
Yep, this is more on hosting unrecorded game shows.
All right. Here's a little tidbit. Uh, just be yourself and make it good because it doesn't matter the quality of the season. I've hosted something that I built like an hour and a half, I didn't have any tribes, didn't have any nothing, and it went smoothly. You just gotta make it fun for the people because if it's like you gotta stay trendy almost, but like have your own style. You feel?
I get you. However, what I will say though is that, and this could just be talking with people who love to have hot takes, but I know this is Aries asking about the social ladder. I'm not going to answer that, Aries. Um, or yeah, so we'll talk about that later for casting. But I feel like and this could go for someone who wants to host unrecordeds and recordeds. Sometimes what is, I guess the big question is, what should the goal be when you're hosting an unrecorded season? I definitely think that one of them should put on a good show, have fun as a host, and have fun for your cast. I think it's also a good way, for example, for me, for example, it's to have good challenges and sort of test proof them for either future recorded seasons or for my YouTube channel. For other people, it could be you know, making sure a twist will work in a recorded season if you threw it in there. So I guess my question for you guys as hosts and as players, how do you feel about that? If a host like adds an advantage that, let's say, is really broken, really scuffed, do you think what do you think the host should prioritize? Should they prioritize their own needs, or should they just try to put on a good season for people?
Well, I think it depends on what you're looking for as a host, like the audience you want to reach. Like if you're hosting an unrecorded, the audience is strictly like the players in your season, along with whoever else is in your server spectating the season. Whereas a recorded has an unlimited reach of people that it could possibly have as an audience. And so it's all about figuring out who you want your audience to be and how they'll receive the game that you put on. I think it's appropriate with Double here to get his opinion. You have him on here as a quote unquote person to talk about hosting. Double's actually played in a season that I've hosted before. And so I kind of am wondering what his thoughts are on how my particular um, unrecorded was as a game.
I mean, I did enjoy your game. It was other reasons. It was more the cast more than anything because I'm a bit known. I'm a bit, I don't want to say like feared, but there's definitely there's certain people that don't like playing with me because of how I play. So it's just that. But yeah, with the entire like, should you do with the play for the audience or play for like what you want as a host? As a host, you have to think about what people want in a general effect. Because if you add something new, you always risk it going wrong. Because survivor players have a tendency what you're not supposed to do with anything you give them. It's I've ruined things on accident because I haven't thought about it. But it's
Hmm.
like you just run the risk of it. And that's why like back to basics even exists as a format. It's old reliable in a sense because you don't need something new to just
Hmm.
make it more interesting. You can make a season have a wow factor just by how much time you put into it, what you do for it. So
Okay.
it's not like innovating, it's just assimilating and then innovating to your own ability.
That's
I get
something
you.
I'll say. Oh, you can go.
No,
You can
no,
go.
you can go, Socks. Trust me. The floor is yours.
Uh, one thing I'll say is to kind of piggyback off what Double's saying. One thing, like that, a lot of new hosts will try to do is innovate and make something new and make something out there that's going to grab people's attention. If you're new to the community at large or just to hosting, you don't really know what you're doing, please, for the love of God, do back to basics. Do just textbook Survivor. Don't try and change things. The game is built the way it is, and we all love it for a reason. You can get creative once you've got your footing, but you're trying to build something here. Like, I think it's safe to say if you're hosting an unrecorded, your goal is that it goes well and you're going to be able to host another. Don't swing for the fences from the start. Get to the box first. Don't overdo it instantly. Please just take your time. Not every single season has to be this groundbreaking new, like, oh my god, I can't believe he thought of that. That's so cool. If you have those ideas, write them down, save them, keep them for a later season, but just wait.
No,
I
I love that. Yeah, Soccer, do you have something to add?
I was gonna well, I agree with everything that was just said, but I also like what Spooter said in the chat about how what do some hosts think when they see an overflowing lobby for their season? Um, Double, you've hosted stuff before, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've had lobbies that are pretty big and overflowing.
Yeah.
I mean, like I've only done one unrecorded ever, but the lobby had 30 people in it for a like I think 16 or
Yeah.
18 person season. It was very small and the lobby was like at least double the size. And I know for me personally, y'all mentioned casting as one of the things to look into.
Mhm.
And I didn't maybe this is a hot take, but I didn't base my decision off of like who had been in the call the longest. Everybody knows that when you join a call trying to get casted for a game show on a weekend, that you're taking a risk of not getting casted. And I look at the players, I look at people who know each other, people who don't know each other, and I try to create a cast that for me is the most entertaining in terms of like what we wouldn't expect to happen and how we can bring something new to the table.
Mhm.
And I think that some people might not view the same opinion, but it is just a way to look at how you want to cast for a season.
No, I definitely love that idea because one of the first seasons that I did as a co-host was Inferno season 2, and despite Inferno hosting now, his second season we didn't really get a lot of the big names, quote unquote, but it was very
You did get an
refreshing.
icebreaker though.
Hey, and Green Branch Smash, you can't forget about him too. But for the most part, it wasn't like a build well-known cast, and arguably we might have accidentally Theo might have casted a pregame by accident just on how desperate he was. But on the flip side, it was really cool seeing a bunch of new, fresher players, and it was very refreshing seeing that gameplay fold out. However, I am gonna go to the chat here. Why it's saying social ladder, and I hate to, but I do somewhat agree with them. I think you know when people first join this community and they go into waiting calls and wait, happened to me. My first 5 calls I waited in for a game show did not get casted, and it's because I'm not known, and it's good and bad. People as a host, you're gonna want to cast people for a bunch of reasons. Some of the reasons might be because you're good friends with them, or you know that they're gonna bring a good game to the season. You know like trying to an eye for an eye sort of thing. So I guess the biggest thing I'm asking here is, I guess to tie it back to what you said, Double, was like, oh, soccer season wasn't bad. It was the cast. Is it, is it if the cast, you know, either for some reason gets toxic or things don't go out well or it's just a train wreck, is the host to blame for that? Because on one
No.
hand, you know, it's the people, but the host was the one who brought them into the season in the first place.
You can't blame the host for picking people for a cast because it's how the cast formulates as people in general. Because for someone like me, I don't play for people. I play for myself, and I try to play like at least with a different thought process every time. Some people you just can't do that. If they play with their friends, they can't target their friends because they're friends.
Mm-hmm.
It's just how people formulate shit in their mind, and that revolves around casting. If you're known to work with your friends and you join a call with 3 or 4 of your friends, and you're not as good as them, you're not gonna get casted over them unless they've played before.
Mm-hmm.
There's always there always will be a social ladder because that's how it works. It's your reputation within a community. Like there's many times where I join the call in the last 5 minutes and someone's been waiting for 3 hours, but they're just annoying. And it's like it goes back to all reliable. No matter how
Yeah.
much they've played, you know that they can deliver interesting aspects to a game if you don't already have it.
And it kind of sucks but that's sort of how I feel like Minecraft Survivor is. I don't feel like Minecraft Survivor is Survivor. Survivor is, getting 18 total strangers, having them compete with different levels of experience, different levels of background.
Also, I gotta go. So peace.
All good, thank you, Double. But for unrecorded and possibly recordeds, it's very rare to get that sort of fresh take and fresh experience. Sometimes you'll have, for especially unrecordeds, the same cycle of a few players playing. And although everyone wants to, try to play with a new mindset, sometimes it's very hard to. Sometimes people work with their friends because they're forced to, quote unquote, or they're backed into a corner. Getting a bunch of stuff in the chat. But enough about casting. I think something that was a little bit overlooked that I want to go back to, back to the Minecraft server, back to essentials. When it comes to the challenges, because a big thing with unrecorded, especially for new hosts, I'll admit, I did a 14-person season for my first unrecorded. Took over 10 or 12 hours. It was really bad pacing. When it comes to the challenges and, talk time and tribal, for a new host, what should people, how should their pacing look like for a season? For example, should their challenges be really simple or should they be really complex? Do they need to be do they need to have a downloaded map? What are your guys' opinions on that, if you don't mind sharing?
Socks, do you want to go first?
Sure, because I actually think this is an area where I can be of good value here. Because I've been in this community for a long ass time. Uh, I've hosted my own games. I've been co-host for others. But like a big thing is that some people know about me, some people don't. I am a terrible builder. I mean, just awful. I would be impressed with myself if I used a gradient of different colors of concrete in a build. What you need in your preparation is not the most fascinating, like, visual, stunning pieces. What you need is something that works, something that you understand, and something that you can sell to your players. A thing I did in one of my seasons is I was running out of challenges. I set the date and I said, I'm gonna get this done. I placed a block in the middle of the ocean and invented player collision sumo. You get something done that you understand, that you can work with, and you go from there. Your goal is not to be the best, your goal is to be functional. So I think I'm probably rambling and getting off topic,
No,
but
all good. So I guess to
yeah.
piggyback off of that, how do you feel? Because, for example, ladder endurance used to be a very common meme. You know, are you ready for the next challenge? Is it ladder endurance? How, especially for, I guess, newer hosts, should they, you know, if it like, should they go for those simple comps? If like, what should be more important, I guess, challenge wise? Should it be, complex, different ideas, or just a simple thing of like ladder endurance? There's a simple thing of sumo or of piston puzzle. Are those simple challenges, I guess, sustainable or good enough for unrecordeds?
Absolutely.
I actually disagree.
Oh, share the
Uh,
floor,
I
soccer.
I think that maybe using them once as a callback isn't an issue, but I think if you go into making it unrecorded and your ultimate goal is to have people want to play it and come back and return to play more than one season, then you have to give them some incentive. And just coming back to see the same comps and the simple things that they've seen before isn't like a way to market it. Like everything in this world can kind of be seen in some kind of way of marketing. And if you're producing a product, which is your unrecorded season, and the players that play in it can see that the comps may lack a little bit of effort and creativity, then they're going to always associate that with your unrecorded. And so it takes a lot of effort on a cast to commit all those hours to play and to give you a good season. And so in return, I think they expect a lot of hours and effort put into creating it.
Hmm, okay. I
I
like
think
that.
that's fair,
Yeah, go ahead, Socks.
but I also think you have to consider we are talking about new hosts here. I think if you want to sprinkle in some good new stuff and you want to try out and get a little experimental, absolutely. But the classics and the fundamentals are there for a reason. I think, honestly, if you're trying to get like some more original, complicated stuff, don't want to set yourself up to have the worst case scenario for any unrecorded host, in my opinion, is having a challenge flop. Like setting up a challenge, taking people to it, getting ready to go, something goes wrong, and your challenge is totally scrapped. People are going to clown on you. You're going to have to make something up on the fly. It's a lot of pressure. Don't do that to yourself. If you're like, I have to have something cool and out there and gonna get people to come back, steal something from Joe's YouTube series. Like, those are good challenges. They're interesting. You can adapt things. You can take bits and pieces and sort of combine things, but don't reinvent the wheel, especially early on. I think I'm just trying to preach to the choir of if you're starting, you're starting. Remember that. You're not gonna you're not gonna make the greatest thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
Just
I do
No,
agree. I
give it
do agree
a
with Stocks there.
yeah.
I think that his point is actually extremely correct. I think that where we agree is um, we don't want people to get stressed trying to figure out how they're going to make it work when it should be a fun experience. Like my whole entire point was if you have two options and it's recycle ladder endurance or look at your YouTube channel and copy a competition, I would say that you should spend the extra few hours replicating that competition. And I think that Sox would agree that you shouldn't like spend like 16 hours trying to figure out how you're gonna have a new creative comp that's gonna like put you on the map. But you should also put a little bit of effort into it and not, just kind of half-ass it.
Mm-hmm.
we're not
No,
saying copy and paste. Yeah.
yeah, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but to have a balance of fresh, interesting challenges, but also, the simple ones, to make the round easy or simple. Am I correct here?
I'd say so.
It
Yeah.
it
Okay.
depends on the pacing. I mean, for my unrecorded, it was basically for me a recorded, just not on camera, which is I know it's just pretty much an unrecorded, but like I gave away I think $50 to the winner.
Mm,
I think it
okay.
was 50. I don't know. That there was some financial award between 50 and $100 given away to the winner of my unrecorded. And so I did it because I wanted to inspire really intense competitive gameplay that had no
Mm-hmm.
previous friendships like impacting it. Like I saw people betray really good friends because they thought I could give them a better shot at winning money. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think for me, since I was putting money into it and I was actually like I had stakes, I I had people talk like I had talk times that lasted to like 20 minutes. That's
Mm,
like stuff
wow.
that you see in recorded, it's not unrecorded. And
Yeah.
so I treated it like it was my own like little creation because I wanted to see it succeed and I'm a perfectionist. And so my unrecorded to me was a test to see how I could have people play and how I could do as a host. And I think it went pretty well.
No, yeah. I mean, I I didn't do too well in your season. We won't talk about that. But
I
from
forgot you played.
yeah, I did too. But no, like I heard your season went pretty well. I have some questions, but we're gonna jump back to that in a second. Chillin' Cool put in the comment earlier. Would you say that your season Survivor Preschool is a representative of everything wrong to do with unrecordeds? Yes and no. Obviously, you guys don't know what happened in the season, but I feel like it's what you guys said. I did some new comps. I created some new challenges, some new ideas. However, I also reused some old comps, or I did really simple ones. For example, I was screwing around with my friends on a server, and a challenge during that season was just lava bucket PvP, which was a really like dodgeball fit the you know preschool theme perfectly. Comps like that are simple, and especially during the pre-merge when it's already going to take a long time to get through talk time, roles, teleporting people. To do the short and simple gets people in the mood, sort of gets everyone to have a good time. And then once you go later into the game, where your talk time might be shorter, your teleporting, your camp might be shorter, your tribal might be shorter, you have more time to do these cool, flashy challenges. But enough about me. I have sort of a rapid fire thing for both of you. You guys have both hosted, been on production teams, so I'm going to do sort of a would you rather for a player perspective and a host perspective. So let's first assume it's a host. So, as a host and presumably a newer host, what's better? 2 big tribes or 3 little tribes?
And we're talking same cast size here.
Yeah, so let's say 2 tribes of 9 or 3 tribes of 6.
I'd say 2 of 9.
I would agree.
I would agree too. I think it's a lot easier for Discord roles, which is such a big thing. Make sure your calls, make sure your Discord server set up. If you're that paranoid about it, you can make a separate server for your unrecorded season, and it will work. People do that for their recordeds, and just you send invites that only have one use. Simple thing of that. Spotters, not 4 tribes of 5. But no, it well, it's managing 2 groups instead of 3, which on paper 3 tribes of 6 would be easier because they're smaller. But no, 2 tribes of 9 I feel like are a lot easier because you're corralling people to less spots. Like you don't have to teleport 3 tribes. You only have to teleport roles or calls. You only have to worry about 2, in my opinion at least.
Tribes can
Also,
become
just
hive minds.
Yeah.
also just like building comps. I'm someone who likes them to look somewhat decent and symmetrical, and making 2 things symmetrical is a lot easier than 3 things. It's a lot simpler.
No, yeah, that's a good point. Speaking of that, next question. What do you think is more important? To have your comp function better or have your comp look better?
Function,
Function.
hands down.
Function.
Yeah.
Oh my god, function.
Okay. Yeah, I know. That one was a little bit of a trick question. Despite what people say of like, oh, a downloaded map would make your recorded look or your unrecorded look better. Building designs make it look better. That's for recorded. For unrecorded, it's about, putting on a show and hosting for people. So I think it's better to do okay, people are just talking in chat, sorry. I think it is better to do auction, correct?
I did. Thanks for reminding me. I forgot that was
All
a
good.
part of my unrecorded.
And an auction, especially for Minecraft Survivor, is a little bit of a toss up because you're not starving. You're not like if you offer like chicken, people aren't going to be like, I'm starving, I need chicken. They can't eat that in real life. So it's mostly mystery items. But stuff like reward comps, auctions, like visit like journey trips. Do you think those should be put into unrecordeds, or do you think those should stay solely to the camera, solely for recordeds?
I would say that they should stick to just recordeds. I think the only reason that I put it in my unrecorded is because there was money involved, and I was
Mm-hmm.
treating it like it was a recorded.
Yeah.
My unrecorded took a decent amount of time because I gave them a lot of time to talk, and there was reward challenges at certain points. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that if you're talking to someone who is trying to just host an unrecorded to like have fun and get into the hosting realm, that they should not really worry about building comps for just reward or having an auction. An auction's not that hard to do. and it's a lot of fun. So I'm not totally against an auction itself,
Mm-hmm.
but an actual reward challenge might be a little too much.
Yeah.
I'll
Okay.
say rewards. It's very specific if you're gonna want to do a reward. Uh, I'd say it's very circumstantial. Like if you're gonna have like a special twist island, it might make sense to have a reward challenge to designate like control of what goes on there. That could work. Rewards for unrecordeds generally they have to impact gameplay, otherwise they're just not going to work. I've seen one non-gameplay based reward challenge in an unrecorded work ever, and it was very special circumstances. So there has to be some impact to the game, otherwise people are just going to be like, "Come on, you're wasting my time. Let's get going."
Okay. So now we're going to switch to the player perspective. Sort of imagine you guys are, in a call wanting to play an unrecorded for the weekend. I'll start off with Chill and Cool's question, which I think is pretty cool. Do you think people are more willing to drag goats to the end to FTC in recordeds or unrecordeds? I don't.
I think it's a pretty simple question. I think that it's both, but I think that people typically play more like aggressive and um recordeds because they want to win on camera.
Hmm.
And so if a goat increases their odds of winning on camera, then they'll do that.
Hmm. I agree because I think, and my friends joke about this all the time. People are like, especially with unrecordeds, people may not take the game as seriously because one, it's not on camera. Two, the host may not have good respect. And because of that, people might either want to throw their games to look good for their friends or, be more sympathetic and, keep a goat for a round or take out a big player or like do something crazy. I think I agree with you, Soccer, and Chilling Cool. I think to answer your question, I think it's recorded. It's because people can play hundreds, dozens of recordeds or dozens of unrecordeds, but they can only play a few recordeds. So when they're on, YouTube, when they're on the camera, they're gonna, think in their mind, what's the best options strategically? And it's, if you're more likely to get more jury votes, bring a goat, then they're gonna bring a goat. I'm not talking about the importance of cell tower, Wyatt. Um, Next question. As a player, would you rather have your season only have, one idol at each camp? Or do you like it when the host drops more experimental advantages or twist?
Stocks, you go first because I have a lot to say about this.
I was about to say, I think it's probably better if I don't speak on the topic of idols, given my history.
What do you mean? I've never seen you play an idol incorrectly, Socks.
That's not even what I'm talking about. That's
Oh,
not at
my
all what I'm
bad.
talking about.
My bad. Is it something with you as a host dealing with hiding an idol or
No, it's that I got superpowers. I got magical
oh,
superpowers. Yeah, you could say they were pretty ultimate.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, but
Soccer.
I am.
generally I'd say
Go
one
ahead. Go
idol per
ahead. Sorry.
camp is easier.
Okay.
I am of the old school mentality that rehiding any idols or advantages is dumb and borderline production interference. And so, to answer the question first off, I think that it's obviously one idol at each camp, and then one idol at like the merge camp, and then that's it. You leave it at that. If they all get played early, then so be it. I think the problem with advantages, and this can be mentioned both in the actual show Survivor and how hosts on Minecraft do it as well, is they treat advantages as a way to enhance their game. Whereas I think that no matter what you do, the cast is always going to be what makes the game the game. And so you can throw in as many advantages as you want. You can make them experimental. You can make them more dramatic or require more strategy, but it's not going to pay off at all unless you have a cast that really makes the season interesting. And so I hate when you see a person have a great recorded or even unrecorded with like a great cast and it gets ruined by some overarching twist or some like idol getting played at like final six or final five because the host ought to be fun and dramatic when in reality it's just quite dumb.
Okay, interesting. I no, I definitely agree with that. And especially as a host, if it's gonna stress you out having to be upset if you just have idols, people might get a little bit more controversial or have a lot more stronger opinions if you add a new advantage. Um, However, there's also the dilemma of like you need to test these advantages. So, you know, less is more. That would be my 2 cents. If you're gonna add something, don't add everything. Especially with this recent season of Survivor, they have been adding so many different advantages, and in my opinion, if they only added one or two, it would have made the season just as good, and they would have been able to save these cool concepts for other seasons solely. And it sucks that, we're probably not going to see the idol cage again, or not going to see, the bank your vote or the inherent, advantage again. We might, but there's a good chance we're going to lose one of these cool advantages because it never got played or got overshadowed by some other idol or gimmick. I'm trying to think what other questions. Ooh,
I think that go ahead.
no, you can go first.
I think that I don't know how to pronounce their name, but Miko the Pro has an excellent question that
Ooh, okay.
really relates to the actual topic of the podcast. How long does the building and preparation process take for unrecorded?
Ooh, okay.
Um,
Good
for,
question, Michael.
for mine, at least, um, I would say that I spent 2 weeks building the comps, and like I'm bad at building, and it was only me building this stuff with a little help from some other people, and so I would say it took me for my unrecorded around 2 weeks to build, and then an extra like 2 days to get like the Discord server set up and all the calls and the roles and learning all the mechanics and other stuff. It took me and Joe like 3 hours just to get Social Spy working on my
Oh my
server.
gosh. Don't even get me
Like
started about that.
there's a lot of things that we were planning on talking about that we probably won't get to just because they're so minute details that you don't think of them until like right before you have to use it. And so I would say that if you actually have goals of doing a recorded or unrecorded, and you want to get a server and build, to like really think about how much you want to do it because it is going to be time consuming. Like I bought my own server that I pay $10 a month for, so just a year's worth of having a Minecraft server cost me over $100, and then I spend hours and hours building every day that I'm not busy with like work. And so it takes a lot of time, but if you enjoy it enough, then it's worth it. But if you're just doing it to just kind of joke around, it might be a bigger time commitment than you think.
Mm-hmm. But what I will say is that I don't think your season will be worse if you put more time into it. I think if double check everything, try to think of everything that can go wrong, it's not going to hurt your season. But, to agree with soccer, building this stuff, unrecordeds and recordeds, it's going to take time. And if you want to do a good season, it arguably, I feel like, should take you, a week. And if you're just doing it on the weekends, I would say at least 2, maybe 3 weekends. One for the server, one for the Discord, one for the comps, one for the tribal. Um, just things like that. But that's a really good question, Michael. And you know, the people who try to decorate over the top are going to take more time. Don't get me wrong. Like for example, Jonas's season where he did like an open world thing with like you could explore the island at camp time.
Oh
That
god, that took so long.
Yeah, like that didn't take a weekend. That took so long. And, the more time that got put into it, it made it better. However, you know, I didn't have that. Soccer didn't have that. Or, there are dozens of seasons who don't have that concept, who are arguably just as good because of the cast, because of the comps, because of the pacing. So,
I just
you
want to
know,
say,
hmm
just before you keep going, if you're looking at seasons and stuff, like what you want to do, don't take examples from Jonas. That man is a freak. He 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 puts so much time and effort and has such an immense skill base with this kind of stuff. Like, I'm his production member, and I don't even know how the fuck he does it half the time.
hmm
You're
But
gonna, that's a good thing. Don't take examples from like the big, really skilled hosts who've been practicing and honing their craft for a while.
yeah, like for
Reiterating the
example,
point.
doubles comps and killers comps. Like I think a good part of their comps have to do with like coding or like command blocks. And not everyone knows those things, and that's totally fine. Your season can be just as good with these, simple Minecraft mechanic comps, not without command blocks. But another question you had is, all right, if I decide to host when I get more experience, I'll ask one of you guys. Michael, that's a very good thing. In fact, that's probably the biggest thing. There are dozens of people who have hosted before you. And, I think from a host to host, we want to see everyone succeed. I don't think we want to go and watch a season or look at a call and be like, I hope this season goes bad. So don't be afraid to ask for tips from different people. I'm sure, you can find different, insights, different views. Some are going to be right, some are going to be wrong, but they're all, different possibilities to consider. And I think that's the biggest thing, considering what can happen during your season and how to handle it. I completely forgot the question what I was gonna say, but oh, I just remembered it. As a player, um, what do you think is better to handle? Merging at a big number or merging at a smaller number?
As a
As a
player,
player,
Let's do both, as a player and as a host.
well,
as
as a player, you definitely want. Oh, go ahead.
no, you go.
As a player, you definitely, in my opinion, want to merge at a smaller number because it's less like personalities to kind of corral and like think about when you're making like moves in the game, both socially and strategically. As a host, I think it's better to merge at a larger number because that's less tribal comps you have to build. Like, honestly, I've learned in my experience that building competitions and challenges for, like, a merged individual immunity is a lot quicker and easier than building a competition that works for a tribe dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's
And
so
so the
much easier.
faster you merge and so the faster you merge as a host, the easier it is to go through that process, and the rounds just speed up like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Fight back because a bunch of people are wanting this. When it comes to casting people, it's the day of. Some people like to do forms like a recorded application, but let's assuming you're just dragging people. Um, what I guess if each of you want to share, what's I guess the one thing to keep in the back of your mind when you're dragging people from the waiting call to the player call? Is it to look out for pre-games? Is it to pick the big names, pick the new people? What do you think is the most important aspect?
You can go first, Socks.
I just say short and sweet. You have to remember you are about to spend possibly upwards of 10 hours managing these people. Don't put yourself in a position where that's going to be super, super difficult. I think as a host, first and foremost, your priority should be yourself. That's that I want to be the center of attention. I will always say whatever perspective I'm on is the one that needs more credit. But as a host, you're the one putting in the effort. You're the one getting this all together. Worry about how it's going to work for you. If you know you don't like somebody, don't cast them. It's your show. You can do whatever the fuck you want. Like, what you have to do is make sure you're going to be able to get through this entire thing. And if you're casting people just for the sake of it's a big name or oh they'll bring this good thing, but you know they're going to drain you, it's a bad casting pick.
I would agree with that, sucks. I think that would be my sense of advice. At the same time, this is almost a gift to the community. You hosting, you giving, a game for people to play. Um, don't make it torture for you. it's supposed to be stressing on the players because they have to think of all these different strategies and whatnot. But as a host, you know, pick a group and pick people who are gonna, make especially your first few experiences um more calm and more bearable. Sorry to cut you off, soccer, but if you want to chime in with your 2 cents, the floor is all yours.
Oh, no worries. I would say that I was going to give my answer as you want a good mix of both new and older people, but I think that what Sock said was such a good point that I really want to harp on it, is that you were the host, you were in charge, and you put all this effort and time into making your unrecorded. You select the cast that you want. And if there's somebody that you just don't like, or people may really like them and want them on the cast, but you just don't cast them. I've had people kiss my ass and like really suck up to me, like hours and even days before they knew I was gonna host something. And like the second that I decided not to cast them, they like flipped like that and were like really annoyed and like mean and all this stuff. And I don't know about everybody else out there, but I'm personally good at reading people and their intentions. And so for all y'all out there who may go into a lobby and try to play in an unrecorded and the host is a bigger name, don't kiss their ass to try to get on the season. Because if anybody that's a big name in the Minecraft Survivor community, they know how to read people. That's how they became someone who's good at the game and a bigger name in the community. They know what you're doing, and it's gonna either result in them thinking you're a meme or they're not gonna cast you. And so I would say just keep it's like a job application. Keep putting your thing out there, keep showing people your resume, and then once you finally get in there the right way, prove yourself and you'll keep getting casted again and again.
And with that, I think that's a great place to wrap it off. I know there are a bunch of people in the waiting call, but my streams have been, dropping frames. It's basically like if we had face cams on, it would be a PowerPoint presentation. But thank you, Soccer and Socks and Double Two. Um, I think, even I learned stuff today. So thank you guys very much for, taking the time out of your night and, sharing your 2 cents and your, opinions about, how unrecorded should go. If you have any questions, obviously it sucks. I know you probably want to ask them here, but, type them in the comments. Maybe we'll reply to them or, DM them to me to different hosts. And, it may take a while, but those little few insights and reaching out, it's not going to hurt your season. So, with that, even I'm rambling too much. But thank you very much, Soccer. Thank you very much, Socks. Thank you to the viewers. I know fucking yeah, Wyatt and Jiv are, begging to get dragged into the call, but no. It's getting late. I'm gonna call it a night. But thank you very much, Soccer, and thank you, Socks.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having me.
No problem. Okay. With that, I would play my outro, but I'm streaming on Streamlabs, and that isn't really too good. So I think I'm just going to end it here. So any second now, the stream is going to cut out. But thank you very much, guys. Expecting in the future some more sample challenges and the frontier.